What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at a little bit of reloading for a 7mm PRC. So first I just want to dive right in and show y'all kind of what gun we're going to be working with and what caliber. So like I said, it's a 7 PRC. I've got it in the Bergara B14 Wilderness Ridge. And then I got a Leupold VX5 4x20 mounted on there. So got a 22-inch barrel with the Omni muzzle brake. So we're gonna be, this is kind of what we're gonna be shooting as far as a reloading goes. I've never done much reloading, so it's kind of a learning experience for me. But I'm gonna be reloading we're gonna be shooting the 162 grain SST from Hornady, and we're gonna go with the Hodgdon H1000 powder and the Federal 215 large rifle Magnum primers, and we got a set of RCBS dies. So getting it sighted in, I just shot the American Whitetail tipped 154 grain SST from Hornady. So I'm gonna be reloading some of that brass, and I've also got 50 more pieces of brass from Hornady. So with all that being said, let's get into some reloading. So here we are mounting our press up and getting a good place to write a few things down, just some baseline things before we get started. Getting our shell holder installed. Now we're installing our size and die into the press. And now we're applying some lube to our brass so that everything will work smooth as we're removing the old primers. And we're just be sure to put a thin layer of that lube on there to not prevent anything from working properly. And being sure to take a little bit of steel wool and just clean that brass up just a little bit. Also being sure to inspect each piece of brass, make sure there's no damage or anything on there. Now we're measuring our case length. Most of them had a case length around 2.28 inches. You could see we put a few off to the side. About 5 pieces were around 2.85 inches. So, and the trim length needed to be around 2.27. So we trimmed every one of them down to that. So you'll just see a few clips of that. Now, as you can see, we're deburring the primer pockets. This is not a necessary step, but we like to do it. Once again, writing a few more things down, and we're getting out our new case prep machine. So it deburs the outer edge of the case, and then chamfers the edge so that the bullet will go in a little easier. And then it cleans the primer pockets, and then uniforms the primer pocket. Then Daddy starts to load up a few primers in there for us, make sure everything's checking out good. I'm finishing that up. As I'm finishing that up, I'm cleaning up a little bit and finishing loading the rest of those primers into there. All right, it's a few days later now, but here we are getting our seat and die installed and getting everything adjusted. Then figuring out what grain of powder we're going to start on, and just getting our powder loaded up. Here we are making a few more adjustments along the way as we get our first round loaded up. All right, so we loaded our first round, and we're just test fitting it into the chamber there to make sure the bolt nozzle is going to close. We actually did have a little trouble getting the bolt to open and close with that first round we loaded. But we actually tried some factory ammo, and it seemed like a couple of those seemed to be tough to bolt as well. I've never really noticed that before. And here we are finishing up loading the rest. Alright guys, so here's our finished product. So like to say we started, we used the Hodgdon H1000 and the 162 grain SST. We decided to start kind of right here in the middle with 66 grains. So here's what we got. Started at 66 and went up 0.2 each time. So here's our five groups. So there we go. Here's it's gonna be our 66 and 66.2 and so forth. We had a little trouble with our O-give. We were kissing the lands right here around 3.645. We backed off 50 thousandths, and we had a little trouble on these. They were a little bit too long. We're having a little, so we reloaded another one, and it ended up doing just fine. I had to make a little adjustment, but other than that, that's what we got right here. It's probably going to be a few months before we get to shoot. It's currently January 6th, so we're probably wait till at least after deer season. But with that being said, thank y'all for watching. Be sure to tune in to our next video here soon.